Hi, Minister. Algoma's laying off 1,000 people. Algoma Steel's laying off 1,000 people in its blast furnace and coke-making operations. What do you think, please, sir?
Well, listen, first of all, I think about the workers and their family, clearly. We took a number of measures to support the steel sector, to make sure the industry could pivot, to make sure we can invest in our steel industry. We need a strong steel industry in Canada. At the same time, we need, in times like that, the first thing we need to do is to support workers. We've put a number of programs in place. We've been in touch with the company, certainly to make sure that we can support them. That's really the key word these days. And also, as I'm on TV with you today, I would say the thing that matters most is to really implement our Buy Canadian policy, at the federal, provincial, municipal level. Even us as consumers, our biggest power is our purchasing power. We need to make sure that we use Canadian steel, and therefore, we need to generate that demand that will help to build our large infrastructure, support our workers, support our community. But today, it's really about the people. It's always
Champagne, une question concernant le retour au bureau des fonctionnaires. Les syndicats accusent le gouvernement de mettre en place un retour à temps plein pour faciliter la réduction de la taille de l'État. Qu'est-ce que vous répondez que ça aide à faire ces compressions et l'attrition?
Bon, je pense qu'on a été très clair dans le dernier budget qu'on devait revenir à des niveaux qui sont plus soutenables au niveau de la fonction publique. On l'a expliqué clairement durant le budget. Vous savez, on a regardé ce qu'il y avait de façon avant la pandémie. On a dit que ça représentait à peu près 10 mais tout ça, ça va se faire largement, comme on disait, par des départs volontaires, par de l'attrition naturelle. Vous savez, il y a des gens qui vont aller à la retraite. Il y a aussi une attrition normale à chaque année au sein de la fonction publique. Donc, ce qu'on essaie de faire, c'est de le faire de façon rigoureuse, mais de façon bienveillante, parce que c'est sûr qu'on salue le travail des fonctionnaires, puis en même temps, oui, on doit ramener ça à un niveau qui est plus soutenable à long terme, mais en même temps de le faire de façon très... sur la question du bureau, je vais laisser mes collègues du Conseil du Trésor parler là-dessus. Moi, je vous parlais plus généralement. Votre question, c'était sur les mesures budgétaires, ce qu'on a fait. Moi, je pense qu'il n'y a pas de surprise là. Je vais peut-être laisser mon collègue du Conseil du Trésor qui est responsable de cet enjeu-là précisément.
M. Guilbeault, très rapidement, un nouveau lieutenant du Québec doit être annoncé aujourd'hui. Ça prend quoi comme qualité?
Ça sera le choix du premier ministre, mais pour ce qui est du ministre Guilbeault, je pense que tout le monde... vous savez, moi, c'est un ami, c'est un collègue, on est ensemble depuis très longtemps, puis sa voix va toujours être là. Sa voix sera toujours au sein. Vous l'avez vu au sein de notre caucus, sa voix va toujours être importante. Donc, c'est pour ça que je le remercie, puis je suis content de voir qu'il sera toujours avec nous.
Algoma Steel has also said this is part of the trade war. This is why. Does this put pressure to make a deal with Trump?
Typhoon question for you, because it's affecting your constituents' relatives. Is there any news from Sri Lanka and the southern India and so on that asks for help, or anything that you're hearing through your constituents and so on?
Look, I think people are deeply concerned. Sri Lanka itself is deeply impacted. Number of deaths, serious destruction of property, people are displaced. Canada has not, as far as I'm aware, been formally asked for support. We, of course, as always, stand by to support in situations like this. It's a humanitarian disaster, one that the island has not faced in many years.
Is it easier sometimes to send money to the region versus trying to send actual things, because it's halfway around the globe, as you well very know? Yeah.
My experience, like even during the tsunami, was finances always help, and it's much easier and it's more relevant and could be done in such an expedited manner as opposed to goods being put in a container and sent, which would take upwards a month, and oftentimes winter clothing may not be appropriate. So it's a very unique situation. So every humanitarian disaster, most of the agencies ask for direct financial support.
Great.
Thank you.
Premier Yves said he'd be open to a pipeline if there does not see a lifting of the oil tanker ban off the coast. Does that change your constituents' minds when it comes to a pipeline, or what are your feelings on the tanker ban?
It might, but in the I don't know what the likelihood of a pipeline in the end, but in the likelihood that we get 1 million barrels a day pipeline, it's unlikely that we could deal with a tanker limit of 12,500 metric tons. You'd have to be practical, you have to have bigger tankers.
Is it important to you to keep the tanker ban in place?
In my mind, the tanker ban is mainly concerned about situations such as the Exxon Valdez back in 1989. I think that if we can alleviate those concerns with double-hull tankers, better navigation aids, and make sure we have adequate tugboats and whatnot to support the vessel traffic, I think we can assuage the kind of environmental concerns that would bring about.
And do you think Premier Eby should stand down then on his opposition to the tanker ban?
No, I think Premier Eby should stand up for what he thinks is right, and we will, happily have a conversation, one way or the other, and then see where we can come to in the middle.
How do you think this all rolled out?
How do I think it rolled out?
Yeah, how do you think it rolled out, and how do you think what we learned, what was in the deal, what was fundamentally in the deal? How do you think the rollout of this has impacted the perception constituents like yours have of this?
Well, that's a tough question. We would have certainly liked to have known more what's going on, but on the other hand, when you're in negotiations, you can't tell the world what you're negotiating. Some of these things have to be done quietly until you can find what you can agree on, and then you can go forward and try and communicate clearly what where you're at. So.
And can I ask you, how likely do you think that a pipeline approval and the building and construction of a pipeline is in the end?
My guess is it's not very likely. I think there's a lot of steps to go through before we get there. We have to have substantial agreement from First Nations all along the route. We don't even know what the route is. One might guess that it would be similar to the Northern Gateway project. But there's a lot of steps that has to happen. There has to be surveying, there has to be engineering, there has to be heavy-duty negotiations with First Nations and the provinces, and the province, particularly British Columbia, to make sure that there's equity and there's financial stake for everyone, for all the rights holders along the way.
And why do you think then that the government would have signed this MOU if it's unlikely to ever happen?
Well, the MOU is about having a conversation, and it's always helpful to be able to have a conversation, to find out what the issues are and what people are concerned about, and that's what we've agreed to is to have a conversation with the Premier Smith and her administration. She's also signed on to reducing methane emissions by 75% over the next 10 years. That's a positive thing. Pathways project, positive things. Electrical interties between British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan is a very, very positive thing. So there's a lot of positive things, and that's a good reason why we have to have these conversations. Whether one particular aspect of this discussion ever comes through or not is moot if we can get the bulk of them underway, and we can continue to support our Paris commitments, our climate change commitments, which are very, very important.
But with the pathways, though, I mean, the Premier said when the MOU was signed that one can't happen with the other. Pathways won't happen unless there is a pipeline, and a pipeline won't happen unless there's pathways. They're intertwined. So can pathways still happen even if a pipeline is unlikely?
Well, I think there's negotiation there. I think we have to have a substantial commitment to many of these proposals before we can consider seriously any prospect of a pipeline. But there's so many steps between here and there, particularly the First Nations along the route, First Nations on the coast, and the government of British Columbia as well.
Do you think that this deal potentially jeopardizes some Liberal seats in BC?
Well, Liberal seats in BC are always up for grabs, I think.
Do you think this makes that easier for the Liberals to keep the seats, or a little bit more risky for them to retain them whenever the next election rolls around?
I think we have to go into each election and fight for each step, each seat as we do now. In 2019, I won my seat by 390 votes. We were very popular then. In this last election, I won by 2,500 votes. So it's hard to know. Politics is a very it's very flexible, I guess. It's very it's a non-concrete thing. You have to deal with the issues as best we can, look after our constituents as best we can, and make sure that their concerns are recognized and passed on, and do our best to make sure that everybody's concerns, their serious concerns, are seriously dealt with.
Okay. Thank you for stopping.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
What kind of concerns, if any, are you hearing about this MOU with Alberta? Are you hearing any concerns from constituents about this?
What's the time? I just got to be in the house in a couple of minutes.
Are you hearing any concerns?
I'm hearing concerns. Sure, there's people who clearly don't like the idea, and I'm hearing concerns from them. Yes.
What specifically are those concerns about?
They don't want a pipeline. So, but I think, and our government's been pretty clear. You need the cooperation, the agreement of the province and the Indigenous community. Does that seem very likely? No. And then you need somebody who's actually going to pay and build it. And is that likely? So far, it doesn't seem to be the case. So at the moment...
So how does the government deal with concerns like the ones we're hearing?
Well, I think a good government and a good party would have people in it that represent all perspectives, and especially on something like this, where there's probably not a really good clear-cut right or wrong. And so our party does have people who are on both sides of the spectrum, but I think that's good, that's right, and I think the Canadian people ought to appreciate that there are different perspectives on something like this.
And Steven Guilbeault leaving. How's the caucus?
Is he leaving the party, or he's just... No. Steven's a great guy, and he's a guy of principle, and I really like Steven. And good for him. I'm glad to see someone standing up for their principles.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping.
Une attente pour Steven Guilbeault, son remplaçant, connu aujourd'hui. Qu'est-ce que vous avez une attente?
Aucune idée, j'ai pas entendu qui va être là.
Non, mais est-ce qu'il y a des attentes de votre part, un lieutenant du Québec de Marc Miller, quelle qualité ça prend?
Non, ça c'est vraiment de leurs affaires, eux autres, c'est pas des miennes.
Qu'est-ce que vous pensez, M. Miller et Héritage, et aussi M. Lightbound et le lieutenant de Québec? Est-ce qu'il y a des idées sur l'appointement?
On leur souhaite bonne chance, je te dis, mais on espère qu'ils vont écouter le message que le Bloc québécois porte, parce qu'on est là pour leur rendre service plus souvent que toi. C'est intéressant, M. Lightbound, qui vient de quitter la ville de Québec comme moi. On est deux, je suis lieutenant pour les conservateurs, avec M. Lightbound, lieutenant pour le gouvernement. J'espère qu'on pourra avoir une bonne relation dans l'intérêt des citoyens. Merci.
Merci.
En tant que M. Miller a été nommé de nouveau cabinet, Marc a beaucoup d'expérience, puis encore une fois, il va faire un travail exceptionnel.
Et aussi, because Moncton is a bilingual town. What do you think? Official languages and heritage for Marc Miller in Montreal?
No, once again, I think that Marc will do a tremendous job. He's got a lot of experience, and I'm really pleased for him. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And Mr. Bruson gets parks back, I believe.
Well, there are only so many that they can recycle, and so that's what's happening. I see that Minister Miller now resuming that post. Even out of cabinet, he was actually quite active. Some of the big Bill C-12, for example, I think that was his work in bringing it back in that format. And so I suppose he still has swayed within that cabinet. And he was close to Trudeau as well. So no matter how they sort of try to reconfigure their look, it's the same group of people.
Have you had a chance to speak to Mr. Guilbeault since he stepped back, stepped away?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen him since he stepped away. Actually, hasn't been.
I think those are wonderful appointments. The Prime Minister should have confidence in these individuals. They have made great contributions to Canada over the past number of years. Marc is an individual, I think, with a great degree of skill, who understands how to run a department, who understands the pressures and the things that are required to perform as a minister in the cabinet of the government. So far as Joël is concerned, I would say the same thing. I think he's been doing a great job in his current role. I think the Prime Minister will be well served served by him in terms of the advice and guidance he'll be seeking in relation to the province of Quebec. And so far as Minister Dabrusin is concerned, Parks Canada is an exceptionally important part of this country. They do incredible work from coast to coast to coast. It's something that Canadians continue to enjoy throughout the year, and having somebody with the understanding of how an organization like that needs to be guided and supported through government is really important, and Julie knows how to do that.
I just ask one thing. Mr. Miller, of course, has historic links to the former Prime Minister.
Right.
Is there any signal with him coming back into Cabinet? He wasn't in Cabinet, now he is?
I'll leave the reading of tea leaves to folks such as you. I think that what you have is an incredibly competent individual who deserves to be around the Cabinet table and will do a great job in this role.
Thank you. This plan that's floating in some parts of the media about making public servants come back more than to a 5-day program. I think you said a brief comment on the way into question period, but I just want to expand on that. Is this true? Is this possible? Where are we at?
I'm learning from media, and then also President of PSEC sent me last week a note. So I'm looking into it. So that nothing has changed.
Within the National Capital Region, is there the capacity, with all these office towers being gutted and redone and asbestos removal and so on, to actually bring everyone back 5 days a week?
But as I said, that I'm learning through different sources. I'm going to go back to my team and then see that I have not seen anything. Nothing is brought forward to me. But it's just, so we'll see that what is happening.
I also should ask you about Mr. Dabrusin getting parks, Mr. Lightbound becoming Quebec Lieutenant, which in Ontarian is not maybe a big thing for you, and Mr. Miller returning to Cabinet. What does that say in anything?
I trust the Prime Minister, his decisions, and all these great colleagues, and they have multi-talented. So I think I trust Prime Minister's decision.
Is there anything within your purview as Treasury Board, President, that you're looking forward to, or that is a big issue that's coming down the pipes that you're dealing with that we should embrace?
As a President of the Treasury Board, I've just put my head down and focus on the work and try to deliver on priorities. And one of the main thing was to launch the red tape review, and I think we're focusing on that because we have to grow our economy and build the strongest economy in the G7, and that is my focus, to remove those overly complicated red tape regulations and make it more easier to businesses to grow and then cut costs. So that is my focus.
With the red tape review, is it something that will just happen over time because you remove one little bit and then another little bit? There's no sort of wow moment when you said, we've cut all this red tape. Is it sort of an incremental thing?
It's like,
inherently.
Look, there's a red tape review office, and the team is working on it. We have asked all the ministers to put forward their proposals, and we're looking into that and see how we can update them or remove them, and getting feedback from stakeholder businesses to see that what barrier they're facing, and working together with the businesses. And also my aim is to reach out to our provincial counterparts and see how we can streamline those regulations, so make it faster.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.